Good morning. I'm Amanda Peterson, and this is Medtech Unfiltered. And last week we were talking about Kilpatrick Sale, author of Rebels Against the Future, and a bet that he made with Wired's Kevin Kelly. Kevin was an editor at Wired and one of the co-founders, I believe. And they made a bet 25 years ago that as to whether or not Kilpatrick Sale's predictions in his book, Rebels Against the Future, would actually come to fruition. Sale had predicted that society would collapse within not more than a few decades. And Kevin Kelly believed quite the opposite. He believed that technology would help society would flourish through technology. So 25 years ago, the two made a $1,000 bet, which at the time seemed like quite a bit of money. And well, heck, today probably seems like quite a bit of money to a lot of us. And then that would be due at the end of 2020. In order for Sale to win the bet, the following three factors would need to play out. And these are all factors that Sale had said. He set the terms. One was an economic disaster that would render the dollar worthless, causing a depression worse than the one in 1930. The second was a rebellion of the poor against the rich. And third was a significant number of environmental catastrophes. Now, it's funny, maybe not funny so much, but we talked about this a week ago today, last Wednesday, and then later that same day, we witnessed an unfortunate part of an unfortunate history in the making here in the United States, which was essentially an attack on our Capitol, and it was largely incited and fueled through lies and misinformation and conspiracy theories that were propagated via social media. So I think it's fair to say that technology was largely to blame in that situation. At the very least, the people who participated in what they called a revolution, and of course others called domestic terrorism, rightfully so in my opinion, is that they wouldn't have been able to coordinate and organize those efforts the way and at the scale that they did without the use of social media and right-wing media apps and social networking apps. So I've given a lot of thought to this, and last week I didn't really share my opinion on this bet between Sale and Kelly. I wanted to give you guys a chance to weigh in and you be the judge. So we put up a survey, and the results are in. And it's, it's really interesting. I was kind of hoping that through the survey, you guys would help me kind of, because I'm pretty torn, honestly, as to who I think won the bet. I can kind of see it both ways. And, but it seems like you guys were torn too, because it was pretty much split down the middle up until last night. Late last night, as of late last night, it was actually 50% believed that Kilpatrick Sale did accurately predict, based on those three factors, that he won the bet, whereas the other half of survey respondents believed that based on those three factors, he did not win the bet, that Kevin Kelly won the bet, and that technology has helped society flourish. So lots of things to consider here. and coming at it from strictly a manufacturing and advanced manufacturing perspective, rather, without technology and the advent of Industry 4.0 technologies, automation, robots on the manufacturing floor, the response, Medtech and the pharmaceutical industry's response to the pandemic would have been hampered. A lot of part of the way that companies were really able to ramp up testing and get the number of testing COVID-19 tests deployed as quickly as they did, along with ventilators and other highly important medical technologies, was through automation and automation in manufacturing specifically. And then, of course, we've certainly come to depend, as though we didn't already depend, probably, I would argue, too much on technology before the pandemic. We've certainly become pretty reliant on it through the pandemic. Most of us, if we didn't, I have always worked remotely from a home office, so that didn't really change for me, but for a lot of people it did. A lot of people, their home office became their primary office, and that's still the case today for a lot of people. I have a 12-year-old who's right next door. He's in English class, taking English through e-learning from the desk in his bedroom. So, we order groceries to be delivered to our house. These are all things that have really been beneficial through the pandemic, and wouldn't be possible without technology. On the other hand, we have certainly seen a lot of negative come from technology. As I mentioned, the efforts last week at the Capitol, and one of the survey respondents had brought up a good point, and this was more so before the pandemic. But he said, the next time that you're out to dinner at a nice restaurant, you pay attention to the couples around you, and how many of them are actually enjoying each other's company and engaged with each other, and as opposed to how many of them are just hovered over their phones there at the restaurant instead of and hardly saying a word to each other. So I definitely think that technology has hurt society overall, but what ultimately kind of pushed me one direction or the other is that really technology itself has been beneficial to society, and I think this technology has really been a good thing. I think that oftentimes the people behind the technology, not so good. So I think that what it comes down to, if we do want to prevent sales predictions from truly becoming accurate, he was envisioning a total collapse of society where wouldn't depend, the dollar would be worthless, and there would be no technology, and pretty much a dystopian future. And I think that in order for us to avoid a situation like that, it's up to us to maintain our humanity and hold on to some of those values that make us human, because technology is only as good or as bad as we make it to be. It's ultimately up to us. And so that's where I fall. I think that technology has really been beneficial and helped us flourish through and survive the pandemic. However, I fully support sales predictions in that it's definitely been harmful to society in a lot of ways. But again, I think that humans are behind those things. So that's my 2 cents. And I really appreciate everybody weighing in. It was really fun to watch the survey results come in. And like I said, it was pretty much 50-50 up until late last night. I did check this morning right before going live, and it looked like a couple more votes had trickled in and pushed it to 45% saying that Sale was correct about the collapse of society, and the rest siding with Kelly, believing that Kelly ultimately won that bet. So it definitely wasn't as cut and dry. You know, Kevin Kelly, according to Wired's article about this that I had shared last week, he really thought that it was going to be easy money. He thought, this is a no-brainer. This is going to be an easy $1,000. But really, I don't think it was so cut and dry. I don't think it was so easy. I think that the judge, their chosen judge and editor that they both knew mutually, I think he probably had a tough decision to make when it came down to it at the end of 2020. But it is interesting to think about. And of course, Medtech is becoming, increasingly reliant on technology. This week is CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, where Verizon's CEO was talking about 5G and how great 5G is going to be. But once again, even Hans said that 5G will only be as good as everybody else makes it, because 5G is an innovation in itself, yes, but 5G will enable other innovations. 5G will enable things like telerobotic surgery or just telesurgery, but those are things that really weren't safe to do without 5G because of just the bandwidth connection issues, but 5G will really make those things a reality, I believe. So I just thought it was really interesting for our audience in particular. So many of us are very technology minded here in Medtech and in advanced manufacturing. But again, I appreciate you all weighing in. And if anybody else didn't take the survey or would like to weigh in, I'll leave the survey live for a little bit longer. And of course, you can always email me, amanda.peterson@informa.com, and just put Medtech Unfiltered in the subject line. And with that, I will see you possibly next week. If not next week, the week after. We might be taking a break next week, but I will definitely keep you informed about that. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.